try to persuade you today that the Kindle is the best ebook reader you can buy. I will also try to persuade you not to use the Amazon software stack and stuff like that, but let's see why. Why am I talking about that? Part of the motivation was last year's lecture of Cory Doctorow, The War of General Computation from the CCC, which is a great conference, and I would really suggest for you to go there at least once, or as a maybe easier step, watch live streams and participate this year. The general idea was that we are getting more and more special purpose devices which are not open for us to hack. And I think that most of the Kindle users look at the Kindle in such way, which is, in my own opinion, a great mistake. So I will try to tell you why is the Amazon Kindle interesting. I think that it's the best ebook reader, mostly because the devices which we have right now are either 5th, 6th, or 7th generation of the ebook device. So it had incremental improvements over time, and it's really nice. Basis of it is GNU/Linux, with highs to the Richard Stallman. You have to mention GNU with the Linux. And it's really GNU stack. It's not Android, which has just the Linux kernel and completely another stack on top of it. It's normal Linux machine. And we can do various fun things on it. We can get root to install our own software, connect it with a USB cable, install our own applications. And it has a really active and nice developers community, hacking community. Which I'm part of, so I will try to persuade you to do something with your own Kindle. Word of warning, this is not a hands-on tutorial. We won't free any Kindles here, but afterwards we have free Kindles there, so if you brought your own Kindle or want to see how you could root your own Kindle, we will move over there and do that to the free devices we have right from Amazon. It wouldn't be an interesting lecture. Basically, it consists of you install something, restart it, wait a little bit, you install something, restart, wait a little bit. But I will point you to the documentation, so if you are watching recording, everything I say will be available online. I'm one of the developers of alternative ebook reader on Kindle. I didn't start that project, I just joined it at convenient point as second developer. So we'll talk a little bit about that. That reader is probably most interesting to you because of advanced features for reading, and because it supports all the other formats which you wouldn't otherwise be able to read on the Kindle, like EPUB, which is unfortunately missing from the Amazon stack, but also HTML, CHM, and various other formats, including, you wouldn't believe it, Word documents. We'll also take a look at another interesting hack, which is how to make your Kindle into the second screen, which might be interesting for people who want to be easy on their eyes, but want to use Kindle as additional monitor for their computers. And we'll take a little bit of look into the hardware hacking, what can you do on the Kindle itself if you connect some wires, and hopefully much, much more. The first question is about which Kindles we are speaking. We are mostly speaking about first two devices, which is Kindle Keyboard, the small black one, and the Kindle DXG, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore in Amazon supply. But fortunately, there is a guy on the eBay who is selling demo units, which originally comes with a screensaver which just changes 8 pictures, but you can reflash it into the fully functional device. So if you want an ebook reader with a big screen, time is running out. We probably won't see 9-inch e-book reader devices anytime soon, because the price point of the e-book reader seems to be $100, and the e-ink screen is just too expensive to have it 9-inch device. So if you want to read PDFs or large or already layouted documents, I would suggest that you buy the demo unit. We will talk a little bit about the newer devices, the shiny shiny ones, and the last one, which is Paperwhite. A little bit mostly because I don't have any of those, and our reader is just in the process of supporting them, so it's not completely ready, but if you have one of the first two or the older models, it will work perfectly. And we won't talk anything about Android-based color devices because they are not e-ink and not Linux Tech and right? If you want to see how your Kindle looks from the inside, there is a nice video which is convenient replacement for me opening mine. So it looks like any consumer electronics in its generation. It has the board, battery, and stuff like that. The interesting thing is that if you have the small Kindle, you don't actually need to open it in any way or form. You can basically always fix your small Kindle without opening it. If you have the big one, you will have to connect the serial port to do some serious hacking, but that's also rather easy. The most interesting feature of Kindle, in my own opinion, as opposed to all the other ebook readers, is that if you pay a little bit of money up front to the Amazon, you will basically get 3G networking anywhere in the world for free. Amazon's idea is probably for you to be able to buy books from anywhere. From my point of view, it turns that device into the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Basically, you can click on the HTTP link in the book, and the ink screen isn't the fastest screen on the universe, but it does have the web browser. And if you are lousy in navigation and you, for example, get lost in Italy, you can always get your Kindle outside, type maps Google.com, enter the name of the place you just got lost into, your home address, and it will route you to the home. I think that's the great feature, and I wouldn't recommend to anybody to buy a Kindle without 3G, but your mileage may vary. The real reason why the Kindle is the best ebook reader, as opposed to the other projects, some of which comes with all the source code, some of which are more expensive, some of which are less expensive, is because of the community. There is a huge and growing community on the mobile read forums, in which you can learn anything you wanted to know about Kindle and then a little bit more. Starting with the jailbreaking. Jailbreaking is basically the term we borrowed from the cell phone hackers, which basically allows you to get root privileges on your device and really own your device. To answer the question why you should root your Kindle, because if you don't root your device, you don't own it, right? Laugh would be nice here. Then usually the second step is to install the USB networking. USB networking enables you to connect the Kindle over the USB cable as opposed to the SSHing over Wi-Fi, which doesn't actually work if you don't have Wi-Fi, like this device doesn't. It basically allows you to get a network connectivity, and your Kindle won't report itself as a USB disk, as it does when you plug it in right now. And you will be able to SSH into it, use SCP and stuff like that. Then you have the problem that if you want to start your own application, you need some way to do it. Because we are running alongside the Amazon framework, the next step is usually to install the Launchpad. Launchpad is an application which enables you to start other applications using keyboard presses. Word of warning, I'm sorry. You have to press multiple keys with 200 milliseconds timeout, so you have to be quick, but other than that, it works very nice. Then you can do whatever you want. For example, install Terminal on your Kindle, which would enable you to, I don't know, read man pages on Kindle or SSH to some other host. And there are also a lot of tips how to develop for Kindle. The interesting thing is that Amazon actually knows we are hacking their devices, and they don't care. When you actually enable USB networking, you are not installing additional software. Your Kindle already has that software. We are just changing the configuration files a little bit because Amazon is using the same software for one of the recovery modes in the Kindle. And they are nice enough to not block devices which are rooted, which is also nice. You won't lose anything of the Amazon's functionality by rooting your Kindle. That's also important to say. And it's completely safe. You basically can't break the device, especially the small one. If you break the big one, you have to connect the serial cable. But other than that, it should be fairly easy. So if I persuaded you that you want actually to try something on your Kindle, you have several options. Back in the old days, there was the Amazon Kindle Development Kit, which is Java 2 ME. If you remember the old cell phones, it's the same API. It basically sucks, as in all Java sucks anyway. But the real problem is that Amazon doesn't actually send the invitations for Kindle Development Kit, so you basically can't get it. That makes sense nowadays, since they moved to Android and stuff like that. But judging from the community feedback, they never did send the invitations out. But if you really want to, you can actually copy the jar files from your Kindle to PC and develop against them. I wouldn't recommend it because then you have to digitally sign it, then you have to modify your digital signatures on Kindle, then you will install another application and it will overwrite it, and it's a house of pain. The better solution is to write native applications, so you just write your code in any language you want, cross-compile it for a Kindle, and it just works. It's basically a Linux device with an unaccelerated frame buffer, which is your e-ink screen, and it works very, very nicely. Basically, Kindle is IMX ARM platform, which is ARM core with a driver for the e-ink screen, and depending on the operating system version, you are looking at 2, 6, 22, 26, or 31 kernels. Word of warning, 2.6.22 kernel is so old that you have to take care where do you get your cross-compile toolchain from, because if you just cross-compile it with the latest ARM compiler from Debian and try to run the executable, it will say to you that your kernel is too old. But cross-compilers are available, and that's not a problem. On small Kindle, you have 600 by 800 e-ink screen. On the larger one, it's 824 points by 1200. You have 256 megabytes of the RAM on the small device, or just 128 on the big one, on this one. And you have 4 gigabytes of flash storage. You will lose about 400 gigabytes for the software on it, but the rest of that is actually available for either your books or your applications. Newer Kindles have just 2 gigabytes of flash, so that's why I'm actually suggesting the older devices. I mentioned Launchpad. Basically, the only thing you have to remember that all the commands in the Launchpad actually starts with a shift. So you press shift and something nice happens. We'll see a little bit later what you can do with it. And the idea is that you can write a small script, bind it to the command, and it will do something. Some of the examples of the things you can do with real commands are preventing screensavers, recording audio, because all the Kindles actually have the microphone in them, not just the speaker. So you can turn your Kindle into the dictaphone if you want to. There is no application shipped with Amazon stack to do that, but there is the sound utility from the ALSA utils. So you basically just write a shell script which pipes sound output into the file, and you have yourself a dictaphone. You can also force it to rescan documents after you copied something with the SCP to your Kindle using USB networking. You can rotate screen using key presses, change the speed of text-to-speech, switch USB networking on or off, or the most interesting thing for us, actually start applications. So one of the applications I would like to show you is actually Kindle PDF Viewer, which is basically wrongly named because we now support a lot of more formats than the PDF. It's based on the MU PDF library, which is the new PDF renderer by the nice guys who gave us GhostScript before. And when I joined, it actually had just the PDF support, and I said, oh, wouldn't it be nice if it had 2-column support? So I did some programming, and if I could find my screen again somewhere and not show you my mail, we have the emulator mode, which is using SDL on the laptop to show it. So I won't show you this on the Kindle. I will show you on the laptop just because it's easier for the beamer to catch up. So you can basically, it works in the same way on the physical device itself. So you just, for example, open one of the documents which has 2 columns. This is another interesting recent development. It has the PDF reflow. We'll come to that. And you have 2 columns and your screen is too small and you would really like to read it. So I actually sit down and wrote something which will enable you to actually read column by column. This is extremely useful for scientific articles, when you have scientific articles in 2 columns and you have small Kindle and you can't actually position it correctly. And that was actually my introduction to that reader. I was able to do that mostly because all of the logic of the reader is actually written in Lua, which is the scripting language. Nowadays we are even using Lua JIT, which actually converts Lua right to the machine code. And if you want to develop something for the embedded devices, I would urge you to take a look at Lua. Few months later, one of the Chinese guys joined us and added Deja Vu support. Deja Vu is that format for digital books, for scanned digital books, which compress very, very well. And then he got on the roll and added the whole Cool Reader engine support. There is the Cool Reader for various other devices already, but we wanted to have it integrated within our reader. So with the same effort, we got EPUB, text, CHM, FB2, which is some format very useful for manga comics, HTML, Word documents, and few others, which is supported by the Cool Engine reader. Then several months passes. Users were happy with it, and we got another developer who actually integrated K2opt, which is also interesting utility, even if you don't have Kindle readers. It actually allows you to reflow PDF document, but not in a way in which normal reflow usually works, which is extracting the text and then just putting it on the screen. It actually reflows every part of the PDF document, so-called the bounding box of the elements, to scale it to the screen width. So I can show you that also on the same document, for example. So if I start Kindle PDF Reader, you will see that it looks a little bit different than the 2-column mode I showed you earlier. And of course, you can see the top of the page over there. But it's also a nice alternative way to get more content which is custom fit to your Kindle screen, as opposed to having the whole page, which you can of course also have. So if you open normal reader, you can always read it like this, but this is usually too small to be legible on a small Kindle. Dun, 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 dun. The last note would be, if you have the open source project, please put it on the GitHub. It will catch like wildfire, and then you will have problems just following the notifications. This project is a nice example of a really successful open source project in which I have work over my head because we have too much developers. Another nice example is to use your Kindle as a second screen, and I will try to demonstrate you that also. After I exit our reader in some form or another. I don't know how to exit my own reader. Oh, the GDB got in the way. So the trick is that we have VNC I don't know how to type. We have a VNC viewer on the Kindle itself. So the Kindle has the VNC viewer. I'm running VNC server on my laptop because the objective here is to actually use the Kindle as additional screen. So I will put it like this and hope it won't fall down in the process. So I'm starting our reader. It's using the USB networking I mentioned earlier. I can enlarge the font, but it's not really interesting. To connect to the Kindle as a root, it will query the Kindle for the screen orientation so that we will get the correct. You still don't see anything? No. It asks again for the SSH password. And if you look here, you will have the same, hopefully, after a while, you will have the same screen on your Kindle. The nice thing about it is, unfortunately, let me put it like this, so the orientation is correct. Well, yes, please, lovely hostess, could you hold it for me? Yes. The general idea is that you have some SSH keys on your laptop and you don't want to actually convert them to your Kindle. So you can... brotherly love, right? So you can just log into your server as you usually would. Type a tail or something. And... please don't make sounds like that.
Very small.
Yes.
From here.
And watch logs on it. And the really interesting thing you didn't notice is that you should actually stand on the left side for the better effect. I will show you why. I'm moving my mouse pointer to the left, and now the mouse pointer is actually on the Kindle itself. I hope so. Is it? Somewhere? No, it isn't. No. Is it?
I can't see it.
You can't see it.
Ah, yeah.
Yes, the refresh is just...
yeah, it's done, yeah. Here.
Yeah, it's a ink screen, it's not so fast. I can't. The gods of the live demos. Yeah. Basically, it's using X to VNC to actually connect your X display with the VNC server on the same laptop. But since we have the picture of the VNC server on the Kindle itself, you can actually copy-paste between your laptop and the Kindle, and it's a nice way to use additional screen if you need it or you want to watch logs on it or something like that. But of course, you can start anything on your laptop, including Google Chrome, for example. So we'll first log off from the server and show you Google Chrome on e-ink screen. This is the slowness of my laptop, not the Kindle itself.
Almost there.
Yep.
It's half of the screen.
Yes, that's my tiling window manager. You would expect that, right? Here? Come on, Evsom. Bring me the full screen. Oh, it's M. And if the network gives us the Google homepage, you will see that it actually works up to the point in the confinement of the e-ink screen itself. Okay. Now we can return to the presentation itself. Thank you, lovely hostess. You have been a great help. This project is also written in Lua, so you are welcome to hack it if you want so. And the last interesting thing you can do with the Kindle is do some kind of hardware hacking. When you open this Kindle or on the small Kindle in the connector on the side, you have basically the serial port. The serial port is rather important because it allows you access to the bootloader. which is essential if you brick your device and need to restore original software on it. But the other idea of using serial port is actually to add to this Kindle the Bluetooth adapter, because this device has only the 3G modem. It doesn't have the Wi-Fi card or anything you can use to connect wirelessly to your Kindle without going through the Amazon and whole internet and stuff like that. So I asked Lovro, who is surely here somewhere, over there, to do something for me. So he got me this small Bluetooth card and wired through wires, and now my Kindle has the Bluetooth. So it's also nice for hardware hacking. The downside of that is that Bluetooth actually takes some power. So my Kindle now lasts for a day, just like any Android cell phone. But it's a nice way to actually get some kind of communication locally without going to the Amazon stack or having connected it with a cable. So here is the short list of more interesting things you can do with your Kindle. This is the URL to my blog, on which I blog about Kindle stuff. I have the GitHub project on which I collect the useful keyboard snippets and instructions how to root your Kindle, which we'll see later on devices over there. There is also a list of comprehensive hacks and modifications which you can install on your Kindle, even if you don't want terminal, VNC server, or something like that. A list of all the Java applications you can install, how to configure Kindle for some particular VPI supplicant configurations, if you need the TSL encryption with the Kindle. I don't know if you have EduRoam in Slovenia, but in Croatia our educational network has the particular configuration for the VPI supplicant, which isn't supported by the stock Kindle firmware, but hack its Linux configuration files are there. You can hack it. There are also a possibility of installing additional language packs on the Kindle. Since voice synthesizer on the Kindle is actually a commercial application, and there is the same applications for the PCs, you can basically download the PC version and then transfer other languages than English on the Kindle. Unfortunately, there is no Slovenian or Croatian, but if you want your Kindle to read German documents or French or Spanish and some other, you can do that also. There is also the Game Boy emulator, if you want to turn your Kindle into the rather big Game Boy. And the interesting way of updating this particular Kindle, which comes with older version of the operating system, to the newer version, which has the WebKit browser, which makes it somewhat usable, as opposed to the older browser, which is something like a Lynx, if you ever used it. You know, it displays the text, but JavaScript and CSS are a mystery to it. And there are also custom kernels for Kindle if you want to pursue that avenue. That was about everything I wanted to share with you. I hope you have a few questions, if I have time for them. Please wait for the microphone. Yes. You can just ask it and I will repeat it. The question is which kind of a window manager I would recommend for the Kindle. For the Kindle, right? Yeah. Basically, I wouldn't recommend any, because you are not actually running the X stack on the Kindle as such. Amazon writes directly to the frame buffer devices, and most of the applications also open dev FB0, sorry, directly. And 128 megabytes or 256 megabytes are a little bit tight for X anyways. So you could run X server, there is a patched version, but the problem with it is that you have to somehow invoke EOS CTL to refresh the e-ink screen. And the current solution actually refreshes the screen always the full screen, and it's a little bit slow, as you saw it on the VNC. And when you write application yourself, you can actually say it, please refresh only this part of the screen. So I wouldn't recommend running whole X11 stack on the Kindle, but you can if you really want to.
Hi, hello. Do you have any, in the features that you add, do you have any kind of additional annotation or like sharing functions in that way between users?
We don't have any sharing between users, but you can do the annotations. Just as in Kindle software, you can select part of the text and we'll save it in a Lua file. Unfortunately, at this moment, we don't do anything with it. You will get the Lua file with the location on which your annotation is and the text of the annotation, but we didn't still write any client like laptop software which will consume that. So patch is welcomed. We thought about sharing, and as related note, we also thought about automatic updates of the reader. But the problem is that on devices which don't have Wi-Fi, like this one, you basically have to log in into the Amazon server, get some kind of a magic cookie, and then use Amazon's browser to access the internet. You have just HTTP, you don't have normal network connection. So one of the ideas was to actually package update within some other file format, and we are partly there. We actually have support for embedding any file format within PDF as a PDF object, and we actually ship the utility which can extract any file format from there. It's somewhat recursive, but it basically allows you to ship yourself file formats which aren't supported by the Amazon stack over the Kindle email address, because it won't accept EPUB. So you can actually package EPUB within PDF and then start it on the Kindle and extract it right back. And we'll probably use that for the updates too, but that still doesn't allow us to actually have normal network connection to be able to like push notifications somewhere. So right now you are copying file to your PC and doing something with it. Patch is welcomed. Any other questions? Okay, since there are no any other questions, I would invite you to catch me later if you want to see how to actually root a Kindle, and I will leave the stage to my lovely hostess and the next presenter.
Fuck you. Thank you.